Hello, this is my book vlog, and I decided to read the book, The Name of the Star. This book is by Maureen Johnson. I chose this book because it is a murder mystery, and I'm very interested in, murder mystery books. And some facts about Maureen Johnson, the author, is that she was born in Philadelphia, but then she moved to New York to continue and is a very popular writer now. This book is a series, and I'm excited to continue in the series. It was a pretty good book. To summarize this book, the main character's name is Aurora, but it's short for Rory. That's what everyone calls her. And she was a regular, American living in Louisiana, but then her parents are college professors, move to Bristol, and she decides to go to a boarding school in Wexford, London. This boarding school she likes a lot, but at the same time she finds it very ridiculous, and she also doesn't really know anyone there until she soon meets her dorm roommate Jazza, but her real name is Juliana Benton, but everyone calls her Jazza. And her first impression wasn't very good. Her first impression wasn't very good. She ended up almost dying at the first day because she almost choked on her dinner, and she had to get the Heimlich. But then she eventually got close to Jazza, and they became very close friends. She also met a guy named Jerome, who's pretty much like a popular frat boy, like the perfect kid at school or whatever. And he's pretty cool. And they all go to a pub together, and Rory bumps into this man, and he looks so surprised, and she has no idea why. But you seem to figure out in the story that he was actually a spirit, and I'll lead into that later. But after the pub, the school goes on lockdown because this story is about Jack the Ripper, and Jack the Ripper was a guy from 1888 who murdered 4 people very gruesomely. And there's some copycat who was doing these same murders. And the dorm goes on lockdown, but instead of going to in their dorms and locking up like the school said they had to, they go on the roof, and Rory sees this man walking across the campus, and she has no idea why. And then later there's a murder in the morning at the campus, and apparently Rory told the cops that there was something happened, there was a guy at the campus, but Jazza was saying there was no such thing, she didn't see anyone, and Rory didn't understand why. But then that was the second murder, but then it leads to their new roommate Boo, who's kind of weird and to herself, very suspicious. An example of her being suspicious was at the museum. She pretty much walked off from their group and was just talking to this guy named Stefan, who is a pretty cool guy. He's really nice. He isn't very popular, but he's a really good guy. And then eventually a woman walks right through Boo, their roommate, and she's like, "What just happened?" And then Boo is like, "You can see them too," and that leads to Stefan and Boo explaining that they can see spirits, and that Rory can see spirits too. So that leads to Jack the Ripper coming to her and saying, and she can only see him because he's a spirit. And Jack the Ripper's like, "I was actually a good ghost at one time. He's a spirit right now, and he was actually a good spirit, but it's all a lie." And then Boo goes to run and stop Jack the Ripper, but Jack the Ripper throws Boo in front of a passing car, and she gets very hurt and is sent to the hospital. But that leads to Jack the Ripper inviting Rory to the place where he originally died in 1888, and Rory goes there with her ghost, and these ghosts are good ghosts, good spirits that have these terminus devices, and these terminus devices pretty much can kill any spirit. So their goal is to kill Jack the Ripper, but Jack the Ripper surprises them and makes them get rid of all their Terminus devices. And then that leads to Rory being trapped and all the ghosts with no weapons. And then Rory is cut open and is hurting really bad. But then Joe, one of the good spirits, comes running in with a Terminus device and kills himself and Rory. This was very important because without Joe, Rory would have for sure died. And that's how it ends and leads into the second one with Rory having to move away because her parents are worried, and she moves with her parents in Bristol. Some questions that you might need answered would be, like, what is the central conflict? And the central conflict, as I explained earlier, was about Jack the Ripper murdering people. And could this book happen in actual real life? No. There's no spirits, in my opinion, and I don't think that's possible. If I could change one thing about the book, it would be the fact that, like, in my opinion, I wouldn't change anything. I think they did a pretty good job on the book. The author used vocab that I wasn't sure about, but I searched it up, and it helped me understand the story, and it was just a very interesting book overall. And that's how I'm going to conclude my vlog. Thanks for listening.